Okay, this is task 12, thermostat testing of our cooling and lubrication labs. We don't need to put any information here because we're just going to be testing the thermostats. This is not going to be on a vehicle. Our objective here again is to test the thermostat for proper operation, make sure it's opening, or just to check and see if it doesn't open at the correct temperature. Our materials we're going to need are our safety glasses, a beaker with some water, a thermostat, or thermostats I should say. We're going to have about 12 of these that we're going to test, a hot plate, a thermometer with a temperature probe, and then a hook to take out the thermostats and put them in. Here's a picture of a thermostat again, as far as what it looks like and how it works. And you can read the procedure of how that thermostat operates here. The test procedure is right here. We want that water to be about 190 degrees, and it can go up to 195 or a little bit more than that, but we want to try and keep it around 195. If it gets up to 200, we want to add a little bit of water into the solution very slowly until we bring it down to this number right here. That's when they should open. Now, the thermostat may open at about 200 or 210, 220 degrees, but when it should open is around this temperature here. And if it's not, then it's going to be defective. Okay, so we've got a little chart right here. We're going to number this 1 through 12, I believe. Just count how many thermostats you have to test on the bench. And then we're just going to go in order. So thermostat 1, we're going to place it in the water, and we're going to wait a few minutes and see if it opens or closes. And then we're going to note it down. Did it open or did it remain closed? And at what temperature were we testing that at? And just note the temperature, because it will vary a little bit. So we want to note that down. So let's take a look at the next video on how we actually test these thermostats.
Okay, so we have our Thermostat Lab. A couple things you need to be aware of are what we've got here. This is our hot plate, and it is hot, just like the name says. So we need to be very careful with this. We don't want to touch this with our hand. You will get burned. You don't want to touch the beaker with your hand. You will get burned, or the water. You have to be very careful when you're dealing with this. So please keep your hands away. Okay. We have our meter here. This is reading our temperature here right now. We're at 212. And we actually want to bring this down to about 195. So what we can do is actually pour some water in here. And you're going to watch this kind of come down here. I mix it up, and we'll watch that temperature come down. A little more. We want this down to about 195, and that's good. That's probably good right there. Okay. And here's our hook tool. We're going to use this to put our thermostats in. You don't drop these in. We need to be careful with this, because if we just drop it in, it can crack the bottom if it hits it at the wrong angle, when we don't want broken glass and hot water everywhere. So just gently go ahead and drop that in, and we're going to just give this about a minute or two to see what happens, and we're going to see if it opens or not, and I'll show you what it looks like if it opens. Now each one of these are tagged, and you're going to have to go through all of these. For example, this one's number 9. Right here, there's number 9. I'm not sure which one we have in right now, but we'll take a look here in just a moment. And we're about 198 degrees. We want it a little bit lower than that, but if you go over, that's okay. It's not a real big deal. Now it's just starting to open, and I'll show you what it looks like as it does open, and it will take about a minute or two, so give it some time. This is not something that you can rush. Okay, so it's slowly opening, and it will be a slow process. It's just not going to open all of a sudden. Let's take a look here. Okay, I'm going to show you this quickly. What I'm looking for is that gap right there between the center and the outside, and that's an open thermostat. It needs to open at least that much, at least about 1/8 of an inch. Now you can see it starting to close. That's what we're looking for. If it doesn't open more than 1/8 of an inch between the outside and the inside, it's a failed thermostat, so we need to put that aside. So just note which one's open and which one's closed. Note what temperature it opened and closed at, and you're going to have about 12 of these to do, so make sure you keep them in order and have fun.